welcome to our post-E3, post-PAX 2019 Day 1 wrap-up. I'm John Reardon. I am joined by, in clockwise order,
Matt Zawadiak,
Alex Kulafi,
Neil Ronaham,
Mitchell Parton.
And we are going to talk about games that we played today and give you our initial impressions. What did we start with?
I played Bloodroots.
Yes.
Which we didn't have an appointment for. It was in the Nindies showcase the other week. But Bloodroots is like this cool, like kind of isometric perspective action game. One hit and you die. But it was really fun because you just kind of like you had like a jump and then you picked up items. But the items did all sorts of crazy nonsense. Like some of them would just be like picking up like wood from a fence or picking up a sword or something, and that was kind of self-explanatory. Some of them were like picking up a wagon wheel and then throwing the wheel around so it would like bounce around and hit a bunch of enemies. There was one that was kind of like you picked up like a chain chomp, and then just like chained enemy kills that way. If you did you could roll around like on a barrel, on top of a barrel. That was fun too. And then if you hopped on top of a cart that had both wheels, it would crash into stuff. But it was a really fun, kind of light action game, because when you did die, you'd start up really quickly, and it was a lot of that attacking, you have to kill every enemy to proceed to the next area. So it almost has a little bit of that Hotline Miami vibe of what are the ways that I can go about this to efficiently or creatively take down all these dudes. Was really impressed with it. I think it's coming out summer or something like that, but it was really cool.
It seemed like it moved really fast.
Yeah.
And had quick respawn, which
Yeah.
is always that's the
Integral.
linchpin in those
Yep.
games. If it has to pause to load when you die, then get out.
But our first official appointment was with Yacht Club Games.
Before we get to that, before you got here, I played Hellblade on Switch.
and you said that ran impressively well, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it boots, I would say, is running impressively well. It's 30 frames per second, pretty low, playing on the TV, and it was pretty low resolution, but I mean, it was playable, and it seemed to frame rate held up well. It was responsive. The game is kind of saying it's Dark Soulsy is lazy, but it's kind of Dark Soulsy. It's any damage you take is a big deal. And so lots of just quick dodging and blocking, but it felt good. There was some light puzzle solving, which the guy from the booth attendee was very quick to tell me that the puzzle was extremely obtuse and that I should ask for help once I needed it, which kind of psyched me out on the puzzle, and then it didn't wind up being that crazy. But yeah, no, it seems to run well. I had never played it before, but from what I've seen, it looked surprisingly comparable to what was on other systems. I'm not sure. Do we know who's doing that port?
I think that information's out there. I don't know offhand.
Okay.
I think it's one of the usual suspects.
Okay.
I want to say it might be Virtuos, but I'm not 90%, or I'm not totally sure.
It's low resolution, but it was very heavily anti-aliased, like a lot of panic button games are, where you'll get, it's so anti-alias that the edges look kind of blobby, and so that game has a lot of hair and fine details and fur clothing and stuff like that, and so that stuff kind of just turns into a mess of
blob.
floating pixel blobs. Yeah. But overall,
So the Switch port is being done by QLOC.
Oh, they did. Crap, what else did they do? I think they did some of the Final Fantasy port. No, that was Virtuos.
They ported Dark Souls remastered to PS4 and Xbox One, but not to Switch.
No, that was Virtuos.
Okay.
I think.
that's weird.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, yes, that's who's doing it. It seems okay. I am pleasantly optimistic for that game.
Cool. So Yacht Club Games, we did play the ridiculously ambitious Shovel Knight Showdown, which I'll kind of touch on that quickly. That was me, John, and Mitchell played that, which is way more that's a game.
Yeah.
They said there's going to be 30 characters, I think,
Or 30,
or no,
30 stages.
like 16 characters, 30 stages.
It's about to be like, are there even 30 characters? to
Yeah,
Shovel Knight?
yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Are there even 16?
It feels like they have to. I wonder if there'll be like crossover characters.
Well, you got Shovel Knight himself, Shield Knight,
the Order of No Quarter. And,
yeah, that's
and,
like 8 of them.
Yeah.
You got like your 4 Kickstarter backer characters.
Yeah.
They could throw in the character from the game they're publishing.
Cyber Shadow.
Yeah.
But Shovel Knight Showdown is really it's a fun little like single screen multiplayer game. Apparently there's going to be a story mode. Like I didn't realize that's straight up just a game. Like that's not like, oh, we made this little side mode.
It's not just a multiplayer mode for Shovel Knight.
I get the feature creep that has led Shovel Knight to take like 6 years to do all their Kickstarter stuff, but I think the end result's going to be really cool. Didn't play the King Knight stuff. I know, like we have. I think we have footage from it last year at PAX. It's probably pretty similar to what was shown last year. I look forward to that. But the big thing that I was stoked to play at the Yacht Club booth was Cyber Shadow. I think, God, it's one of those names that I keep on messing up. It's Cyber Shadow, right?
That sounds right.
Okay.
No, that's right.
That's right. Okay.
Okay. Cyber Shadow is a ninja game. Apparently not inspired by Ninja Gaiden, unlike The Messenger.
Despite all appearances to the
it's like
completely independently arrived at Ninja.
Yeah, I talked to. It's developed by one dude. Oh hi.
Let's just pause for sound here for a second.
I talked to the developer. It's developed by one guy. It's taken him like 5-6 years to do it, and Yacht Club's helping him get across the finish line. It seems like it's pretty close to being done. It's going to be out in 2019. But he's inspired by Shadow of the Ninja, which is a Natsume game, I think NES era, that I've never played. I think it's on a virtual console, but now you probably can't access the virtual console that it's on. Thanks, Nintendo.
You can go back in time and play it, though.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know. The Messenger might be better for your back in time-ness. But it was a cool action game. It was a little more stilted than like something like The Messenger or even Ninja Gaiden, which is kind of where my predilection of those ninja games are. But I liked the design of the world and a lot of the power-ups and stuff that you got along the way. And it seems like there is going to be a good variety of power-ups. That guy seemed to have fun design. Like it's stuff where like you'll get an item and there will be like a ball that will kind of like circulate around, like orbit around you and kind of knock out enemies as you're going through the level. Other inspirations that it kind of talked about that were readily apparent were things like Contra, the enemy design, especially the boss of one of the stages. We have direct feed going up of it. There's like a big machine guy that you fight that like felt like a Contra boss. NES Batman's another influence, which once he said that while I was midway through playing the first stage, and like I was like, yep, that's what this feels like. So it's got a good array of influences, and I look forward to playing that game when it comes out, hopefully sooner rather than later. And I know, Alex, you also played that.
Yes, they say coming soon, which is promising to me that it'll actually come out not 12 months from now, probably a little closer to 6.
Yeah, I would say like fall, probably at the latest.
Okay. Yeah, my impression of Cyber Shadow is that it felt a lot like Shovel Knight to me.
Yeah, no, it totally has like a similar aesthetic of like that NES hard, but through a modern lens.
Right. The way the bosses played out, I was like, oh, this is kind of Shovel Knight-y. The items, this is kind of Shovel Knight-y. Some of the ground textures looked like the Shovel Knight ground textures, but the woman who was like sort of showing the demo to me, she said like, no, like this was totally this guy developing it by himself. Any similarities or coincidences?
Yeah, one of the Yacht Club guys there made a comment about how like they had first seen it like 2 years ago. I don't know when exactly they kind of like signed on to do the deal that they're doing now, but like this dude worked on this game for a good long while without any interference from Yacht Club.
Right. And it's good. I'm excited. I would say like of the indie stuff I've played today, that and Sayonara Wildhearts are the two that I'm like most excited about.
Like I'm hyped for Cyber Shadow. Like it has a very gripping aesthetic to me, and the demo that I played made me want to play more of that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess while we you mentioned Sayonara Wildhearts,
Yeah.
Let's touch on that. Like you went up, you broke protocol and played it out of order. But we have an appointment for that where I guess I hope we will be able to have direct feed of that game. That would be fun. But what is Sayonara Wildhearts?
I don't know yet. Is the I played it and I still am not 100% sure. I think that's a game that would be better served with headphones because I played it at the Annapurna booth and I could kind of hear the song and the song sounded great, but it was hard to fully zone in when like it was playing through speakers at me.
They didn't have headphones available?
No, not at those
Okay, that's
stations I
disappointing.
played at.
Then I'm gonna press to be like, get us direct feed so that way we can share the music with the world.
But it's kind of a rhythm game. It's definitely a music game. It reminds me a lot of Rez, where it's simplistic controls that change camera perspective all the time. Longish levels for a music game. I would say like 5 or 6 minutes it took to get through the one demo level. Like I said, or I don't know if I did. It reminds me of Rez in the way that it plays. The pop music was very catchy. That game is what you want that game to be, at least based on the few minutes I had to play with it. And I was told it's coming out this year, and I'm looking forward to it. And if we do another podcast tomorrow, I'm sure you'll have more to say too.
No, I look forward to checking it out. I guess just hitting on just to knock things off the list of what we saw today. I'll hit on the 2 DLCs that I played today, as well as the kind of tied to Cyber Shadow in the Ninja Milu. Played the Messenger DLC, or like I guess the first level of that, which was inspired by like Battletoads and the surfing level from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. So it wasn't really the traditional Messenger gameplay, but actually, I mean, some of the goofy, like, weird stuff where you're like, you know, it's a shoot 'em up for a little bit.
Is the whole game like that, or was that just like a level?
Not just the level. So the way that it was the director Thierry Boulanger, I believe is his name.
You act like I would know.
That's because I did a video that you can watch here on Nintendo World Report TV back when the Messenger came out last year about the influence of Ninja Gaiden 2 on that game. But he was describing that the way that the DLC is kind of set up, you need to have beaten the game to be able to access the DLC. It is free DLC though, which is really cool. But you like go to a tropical island, and to get there, you have to go on this boat. So it is like that kind of fast moving. You have 3 lanes to kind of go between, and it does feel like that Battletoads garbage bike thing in some respects, where it's just like, oh no, there's a rock. But you have health, so it's not that hard. It seems like they might mess with the balance. I think he seemed to intimate that a lot of people have said that it is too hard.
We got that for didn't the Dead Cells devs comment on the balance?
Yeah. I would actually say
that
that the Dead Cells DLC was super easy, but I think that might have been like they gave me a really good loadout when I played that. But with Messenger, like I liked the thing that I played, and it also like it had more great music. That soundtrack is pretty aces. I would want to play more of the new levels that they have. I think it's like that intro bit, and then I think there's 3 levels and a boss. So it's not that substantial. Should probably be out. It seems like early summer is when that'll probably hit. I think they're like kind of polishing it up and getting it ready for submission and stuff.
Now, was this one a free or was this a
free?
This is a free update. Okay.
And Thierry also mentioned that they kind of loosely have like 2 other DLC packs sketched out, but it kind of depends on how this one does. I don't know what their metrics are for. Like, will it increase sales? Will people go back and play it a lot? I don't know. Like, because they don't really have a direct line to profit of this free DLC. But there's a chance that if there is like more DLC packs, they might be paid, or they might kind of scrap them and work on a new project that I tried to ask about, but he was basically like, dude, I'm not gonna tell you. Yeah, we're working on new ideas. I'm not gonna tell you anything.
Just once, it would be great to like ask one of those PR guys, like, so are you working on anything else? And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
And just like spill the beans.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, like the Messenger DLC, like I'll play through that. The Dead Cells DLC, I honestly don't have a strong picture from playing that demo of what the Dead Cells DLC even is. it is out now on PC, so go check that out. I probably should have done my homework more. I was expecting to like go to the appointment and have them explain it to me a little more, and they were kind of just like, here, play the DLC. I'm like, cool. It does have like a new boss that was super fun and ridiculous. You can check that out on Nintendo World Report TV. We will have footage of it going up. But
his dying animation in particular, completely caught me off guard.
Yeah.
It was great.
Is it all stuff that's like integrated with the main game? Like it's not like an add
this is a
area
post game thing.
Okay.
As far as that's what like when I asked like who like kind of who is this for? I don't know if it's necessarily you have to have beaten the main. I think it might be that you might have had to have like beaten the main part of Dead Cells to get to this point. But it's another free DLC thing. It's out on Steam right now. Like I talked to 2 developers. One was kind of saying about how it's basically like they're gonna let it linger on PC and get people's feedback before they kind of finish up the console ones. Another one was like, yeah, we're getting ready for submission. So I don't know. I think it's probably gonna hit Switch in May, June, maybe. I mean, it could always slip depending on if they do get feedback on the PC version and they have to fix a lot of stuff. Maybe it will push back some of that stuff, but. That's one where like I look forward to having an excuse to revisit the Messenger and Dead Cells. Those are both 2 of my favorite games of 2018. So that's like the Neil's DLC minute.
So next was Bloodstained.
And then later in the day, we had an appointment to play the Switch version of Bloodstained. And that demo started at the very beginning of the game. And from a game design perspective, that demo was great. The tutorials at the start of the game very good. I had a better feel for the game and all of Miriam's different magic powers and everything. But boy, that Switch port is rough.
Armature was working on or was it Armature that was working on like the Wii U version at one point?
Were they?
I'm not sure.
I don't know who's working on the Bloodstained.
There was a Wii U version at some point.
Yeah.
But,
imagine what that would look like now that we know what the Switch version looks like.
Most Switch ports of like big games on other systems, like you're not going to get a good resolution. I'm used to that. But
it looked slow.
The frame rate was never above 30. And when it dropped below 30, it didn't frame skip. It did full slowdown, which is concerning.
And I mean, we're not talking like 25 frames per second. We might be talking like sub 20 frames per second.
Yeah.
Like, it was slow.
Yeah.
It was really rough, and it was dropping inputs too. Like there were a couple times where I took hits because when I pressed the button, it just didn't do anything. And it's weird, like how I'm gonna sit here and talk about Bloodstained on Nintendo Switch, where it's like Bloodstained looks incredible. People are gonna love Bloodstained. Right now, I kind of don't think you should get it on Switch. And who knows? Maybe it's just like an excessively old build, or like they're gonna fix it up a lot before that game comes out. But as it stands now, it's concerning.
While you were doing that, John and I went over to Square Enix Town, where you watched a bunch of cutscenes.
Yeah, I think
in
you had
Final
a
Fantasy
better time than I did.
Yeah, they had Final Fantasy X and X-2 and Final Fantasy XII. We didn't really do anything with Final Fantasy X because we were there mostly to capture some footage.
Yeah, 10 was that we were not allowed to get any footage. We couldn't even. Could we do off screen with 10?
I think we could have done off screen, but it seemed apparent why they were probably doing that because they have on one side they had the Xbox One versions of 10, 10.2, and 12. On the other side they had the Switch versions. Looking from like the Switch version of 10 to the Xbox One version of 10 was very noticeably like the Switch version doesn't look that great. I hope maybe that's a demo build. I don't know. I hope it doesn't look that bad, or maybe it's fine in handheld.
They were, like, while I was playing 12, because that demo station was right next to me, they were struggling with that demo. Like, it was, like, the guy next to me stopped playing it, I think because it just kind of stopped working.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't get it to reboot for the longest time, which was great, because it gave me something to watch while I was, just sitting through cutscenes.
Yeah. But I played Dragon Quest Builders 2, which I played it on PS4 We will have footage up on the YouTube channel of the PS4 version. We will have some off-screen of the Switch version because we also got to check that out later at our Nintendo appointment. I played both of the available demos of Dragon Quest Builders 2. There's kind of like an intro one, which seems to be the very beginning of the game, and there's one a little later on. I don't know exactly when, but that was. I mean, it's more Dragon Quest Builders. The differences that I could kind of tell was there's a run button, so you can kind of run around more, which is really helpful because that was a game that the pace would sometimes be a little slow in the first one. So having that ability to kind of quicken that up is welcome. I do think the tutorial. I'm gonna hold that thought. I do think that the tutorial in Dragon Quest Builders 2 is kind of really fun. You start off in a boat, and it kind of just lays out a lot of the basic controls with, goofy Dragon Quest localization and, charming characters. It was a real good way to start a Dragon Quest spin-off game. I would like to play more of that game. It encouraged me to go back. I'm probably going to play through Dragon Quest Builders if I have the time on Switch. Matt, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I got to play the Switch version of Dragon Quest Builders, and I have neither played the original Builders or any Dragon Quest at all. But I was really impressed by it still. Because I always kind of dismissed it as like, oh, this is just a Minecraft ripoff. And it's like, in that one part in the demo where the water's coming through, like I kind of held back from commenting like to the Nintendo rep that was with us, like, oh hey, that's the exact animation that the water in Minecraft uses. But I think that it's really cool to have all like that Minecraft kind of gameplay structured in a game that like has quests and everything. And it gives a lot more guidance, and part of why I struggled to really get into Minecraft was because it just drops you in an open world, and that's all. It just, like, you're on your own from there. And not to say that I want a game to hold my hand, but I need a goal. I need something that I'm working towards. And if I have to figure out how to get to that goal myself, that's fine. But if I have to make up my own goal, then I kind of just fall out of the game. So having RPG quests in a builder game like that, I feel like it's what's gonna really get me into it a lot better. And parts of it I felt like were a little clunky, like the skeleton that's like giving me the tutorials, like I had to talk to him like 3 times, and like just talk to him over and over 3 times, and like that was like a quest in itself.
I think that there was, once you actually got going in the tutorial stuff, it was fine, but sometimes it would be a little clumsy of what to do next.
Yes, but it's also hard to complain because even without having played Dragon Quest before, that dialogue was really fun. And having every monster have their different speech patterns, have the skeletons making all these bone puns, talking about the skeleton crew, and threatening another guy that he's only useful to feed to the dogs. It was stuff that really sold me on the world and got me into it. And I feel like I'm no Dragon Quest expert, but I think this is fully representative of the game, and it's the right entry point into this long-running JRPG series.
That was a square appointment.
I guess I should say, Final Fantasy XII looks like Final Fantasy XII. It appeared it was pretty comparable to the PS4 or Xbox One versions. It was just a bad demo. They start you off at the very beginning of the game. You sit through probably 10 minutes of cutscenes before you see anything that's real time. And then you go through, like, the beginning, if you play Final Fantasy XII, the beginning of that game is really boring and really slow. And we played it for, like, over 30 minutes. And there was no sign of it ending, so we just kind of left. But that's not to say that the rest of the game, I mean, it appears to run well, and if you've played farther into Final Fantasy XII, great game. So I'm optimistic for it, just not, I don't know why you would choose that.
It's not a great demo.
That's not where I would choose to demo that game.
Then we saw Streets of Rage 4.
Which was great.
Looked beautiful. It's a beat 'em up.
I said this to you guys, but like, it just feels so dead on to Genesis Streets of Rage. And that's great. Like all the weird little like like I was able to just kind of pick it up and just immediately start playing it like it didn't feel like a new game.
Yeah.
All the animations they've done for like the old characters are great. Like little hunched over guy with a knife that kind of just waddles toward you menacingly. Like that guy's there and he looks exactly like he always has, just better.
Shout out to Kevin.
Kevin, the shirtless,
the shirtless guy who
the
has
shirtless
his
Red Hot Chili Peppers fan,
who has his hands permanently in his pockets.
Yeah,
like headbutts you, and just falls to the ground, hands still in pocket. Don't know how he gets back up. He's like a turtle.
Yeah, all the the old characters look great, the new characters look great. All the animation is just beautiful. The art style looks so good, and it plays great. We were playing a PC version. There was some frame tearing. But early PC build, so who cares? Did you have anything to add to that?
No,
Alex?
it was a beat 'em up.
Okay.
That's literally the beginning and end of that's fine.
Yeah, like I'll play it.
Yeah.
I do like you guys played it without music, which is weird.
Yeah.
They just need to announce how they're working with Yuzo Koshiro. Like then I'm all in on that game. Because I would say like 75% of my enjoyment from old Streets of Rage game is that banging Yuzo Koshiro soundtrack.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have more characters and stuff. That game seems like it's pretty far out.
Yeah, I think that's a ways. I mean, this was its first showing. Right?
Yeah.
And there seemed to be a decent amount of hype for it. It was like their one game was like inside.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't allowed to record it or film it off screen or look at it, but trust us, it was there, and it looks good.
And so just kind of, I'll finish up like my thoughts on things. Super Crush KO, a game that I need to go back and play. Matt and Mitchell both got to play it, but that game looks great. It's by the guys who made Graceful Explosion Machine. Found out from Mo, I forget his full name, but it's like the main developer of Vertex Pop. He made a comment about how Graceful Explosion Machine was a shooter if it was like Bayonetta, was his goal with that. Which, hearing that now, like, makes perfect sense. And also, Super Crush KO is kind of like a side-scrolling beat 'em up cross Bayonetta.
Yeah, it's basically a character action game in 2D.
Yeah.
Like I coming right off the heels of Devil May Cry 5 just came out, and then going to play this demo for Super Crush KO, and it's basically the same game, just a 2D side scroller.
Yeah.
And I mean, like aesthetically, it's completely different, but the gameplay, it's you've got these cool melee combos going. And you're being graded on how long you keep these combos going and how good these combos are. And when you're in between enemies, you have a ranged weapon to just fire quick bullets at it to keep your combo going.
Yeah.
And it's remarkably really good at kind of condensing that character action experience down to something that's a little more digestible to someone who's not familiar with the genre, because character action games can be really difficult to get into because, like, by their nature, they're such a hardcore experience.
There's like a difficult language to learn sometimes of them.
But something about Super Crush KO just kind of flowed really well. It introduced like individual attack moves that you could do slowly throughout the demo, and then you like intuitively kind of learn to chain them together, and it all just kind of works.
It's so weird how much that game is just like Graceful Explosion Machine with like a new hook.
Yeah,
because that's it, like when you two play Gem, that I think after playing that demo you both probably are. Like it has that same thing where it has that layout of all the weapons in a really smart way, and then you play with them and use them in different ways.
Yeah, and yeah, I thought it was really, really fun to, like, not to brag or anything, but I got an S rank on the stage on my first try, no deaths, and I definitely would not say that I am talented at character action games in any particular way, And I was struggling at the demo at first, but it introduced everything in such a way where it made sense to me, and I was able to translate that into, okay, what's some higher level stuff I can do?
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm really looking forward to seeing more of, because if it can keep that level of accessibility while also getting more complex throughout the whole game, to like get more challenging character action experience out of it, then that'll be extraordinary.
It just feels really good. It's really approachable. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I like Vertex Pop is kind of becoming one of my favorite indies because, I mean, they also just have there's a real unique style to their games that I can't really think of a lot of games that have that display of colors, that pop, if you will. And yeah, like they announced this game, I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's great. And it's nice to see that game and be like, well, looks great. I would like it to come out soon. I don't think they really gave us a win. I think like it's been 2 years since Graceful Explosion Machine came out, so I would assume they're probably humming away at development of that game. The last thing that I really checked out of note was Boxboy plus Boxgirl, which they made a lot more Boxboy levels, and it's on Switch instead of 3DS.
Yep.
There's a co-op mode that you control the hell out of each other, as Matt and I learned. And there just seems to be a lot in that game, and like we kind of got a sampling of different level types. There's some new stuff. There's timed springs that launch you into the air. It's been a while since I played through a Boxboy game because I think I bought the Japanese version of the third one, which I think came out like 3 years ago. Didn't think I wanted to do Boxboy, especially since the last one was called like Goodbye Boxboy. But now Boxboy has a family. He got married to Boxgirl.
Box man now.
Yeah, he's a box man, and they have a little baby, and the little baby stays outside the levels because you don't want the baby to get hurt. But yeah, I'm into that. It's coming out next month. It looks great.
Yeah, I've never played Boxboy before, so it was kind of like my introduction to the series, and it's kind of like that theme of demos that we had with Final Fantasy and Bloodstained, where it's like, this looks like a great game, but I'm not getting a lot out of this demo.
It was just they showed us like what 5 levels, tops.
Yeah, and I think those 5 levels were like jumping around the different worlds too.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't 5 levels all in one world. It was like we'd beat one level, and then we would back out and go to the next world and do the first level of that world, and then back out to the next one. And I'm sure to you it was kind of like a confirmation, like, yes, we have more Boxboy. You already love Boxboy, and for me it's just like, I'm still not, like, obviously, like, I know the controls of Boxboy now, but I'm still not really sure I know what your average challenging Boxboy level looks like.
So, while we were, I think, like, during downtime at the Nintendo appointment, read Matt's review of Unravel 2. That should be up by the time you listen to this.
It should.
But we were talking about that a little bit, not to go too off the subject of PAX East, but Matt, you made the comment about how like Unravel 2 introduced a lot of concepts but didn't really take them all the way.
Yeah.
And I get like from the demo that we played of Boxboy and Boxgirl, like we just saw a lot of concepts introduced. We didn't see them go that deep. I can speak from experience playing the other ones. They go pretty deep as you get farther into the game, and there's like 200 plus levels across 3 different modes. There's like an entire co-op experience. There's a single player, and then with the tall, weird, lanky cube or box, there's also a mode with that.
I think the rep said was a new game plus kind of thing.
Yeah, but like I mean, they didn't say a price point yet, but it's coming out April 26th.
It seems like a good significant other kind of game.
Yeah.
I think that game will definitely shine co-op.
Yep. Because that's kind of the new thing about it. Like, those Boxboy levels, it's going to be like the old Boxboy, which is totally fine. Like, those are very good games. But the co-op and the cutie, or whatever, the weird rectangular box thing.
I got all their names mixed up. I have no idea what the name is.
It's irrelevant. It's Boxboy, Boxgirl, Box Friend, Box Baby.
The final game that I have to talk about, it was Sparklight.
Yeah.
That was Mitchell. You were there.
Yeah.
You got to play it too. It's like the way he described it was kind of like roguelite light, where it's not really a roguelite so much as that's just the genre it's closest to.
Well, it is procedurally generated, but it's not as intense as a typical roguelite would be.
Yeah.
It's very Zelda influenced.
Yeah, and the way the dev described it too was that it's kind of like Zelda, but instead of having dungeons, like the entire overworld was designed as a dungeon. And it's a 2D Zelda style kind of thing. It was like a top down. You've got your typical melee weapons and everything. And when you die, you get sent back up to the town where you can upgrade your equipment, upgrade your stats and stuff. And then you go back down to a new procedurally generated world, and you're like at the same point in the story, so you're not starting over. But it's like the world map is different every time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it's like the roguelite light. Like it's giving you a different map to explore, just like a roguelite, but you're on one linear progression of story like a typical adventure game.
Yeah, it kind of works the generation, like the change in the world into the story in a little way.
Yeah.
But
it was like something called the Disruption.
Yeah, some event.
Yeah, and I didn't really get a good feel for the story, partially because we were in between appointments trying to get everything done, so I didn't want to spend too much time reading. But it's a really solid game, I think.
I think there's so much potential for this once it's polished. Like, the art style is just, I think that's what got us at first. It's just, the art style's perfect.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's that kind of like indie pixel art style right now, where it doesn't look like any particular old generation, but it's still got that really cute feel that pixel art can have. And it specifically reminded me a lot of Minish Cap in its style.
Right.
And I think I didn't think to ask that specifically, but when he was describing some of the power-ups you can get later in the game, like one of them was to shrink down and go through smaller spaces. I feel like Minish Cap was the source of a lot of like design cues. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of surprised they let us take direct feed of that. Like, we got direct feed footage, and that game, it's on an early build still, and it's like something they warned us right up front too. It's like the frame rate is kind of rough in places, and they're going to fix that. And
the loading screens are atrocious right now.
Yeah, well, specifically the loading screen out to the overworld.
Right.
And that is something they promised that will be improved in the final build. But like, I was sitting there like, I kind of felt guilty. Like, this is a great game, and like we're just gonna throw this footage up on YouTube, and like people are just gonna they're not gonna have, like, obviously we're gonna say, you know, this is an InDesign build. It's not representative of the final game, but like no one's necessarily gonna take that seriously, because a lot of games you see that and it's like, well, that's just a disclaimer that doesn't mean anything. And in this case, like, they stressed to us like this is going to be improved. But like, people are gonna look at that footage and it's like, wow, that looks rough, and I'm kind of nervous about that, because it was a really great experience. And something that also made me feel really good was they're in the process of playtesting it too, and they, like, every time something happened that I was like, oh, I'm not sure I like that, I'd rather they wouldn't do that. The dev said to me, like, without prompting, like, oh, we've gotten a lot of feedback, and we're gonna improve that. We're gonna change it to something else. Everything that I thought was a flaw in the design was something that was specifically, like the dev said, we're going to improve that. We're going to fix that, and that makes me feel really good about where this game is heading. And it was a really fun time. And again, not to brag about being good at video games or anything, but I beat the demo. I beat the boss at the end of the demo, and he said to me that I was the very first person, not only at PAX, but also at GDC, to have finished that demo. Because apparently the boss at the end is just so hard.
Yeah.
But
I'm not clapping.
The pro strat that no one else apparently went for was just buy the double damage upgrade. because the boss is a cakewalk if you have double attack.
Yeah, like the one last thing like I think about with this game, like he mentioned that one of like they've been compared to Bastion a lot, and I think if you're trying to compare, like ask what this game is like, go to Bastion. It's a lot like that, and it feels just as good, if not better. Well, or I expect it will be better, maybe. But
it's a game that it definitely still needs some work, both in design areas and technical areas. But like the way that the dev was telling us about it, I'm really confident that they're gonna make the changes that it needs. And I think this is gonna be really good.
I think this will be a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And I think that's everything I played. I think.
Alex, you played Mortal Kombat.
I played
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'll go through my list really quick. So I played some Mortal Kombat 11. I love Mortal Kombat 9. I like Mortal Kombat 10. Mortal Kombat 11. The guy who was sort of showing the demo to me, I think his name was Brian. He was very excited about Mortal Kombat 11. Said it had way more content than either of the previous two Mortal Kombats that NetherRealm Studios made. I was interested in playing it on handheld mode because I am a big fan of Mortal Kombat 9 on Vita, and I wanted to see how the handheld would look because handheld Mortal Kombat for some reason is a really enjoyable time. And while it looks sub 720p, it looks good enough, and it ran great in my opinion.
And we were just playing the handheld, like we didn't see it on a TV, so who knows what it is on there.
But if you like brutal Mortal Kombat gameplay, seems like Mortal Kombat 11 is another one of those.
And how did you feel the performance was? Because a lot of people that I know are worried about is the Switch version going to be able to hold up to the other consoles?
Yeah, it ran fine.
It looked like it was locked at 60 frames for me.
It played. I had zero complaints whatsoever about how it played. Let me see, what else? John and I saw Crash Team Racing.
That's true.
Yesterday.
We could talk about that, could we? Yeah. That was good.
It was good. As someone who's never played Crash Team Racing and has only played Mario Kart, my impression of Crash Team Racing was that plays kind of like Mario Kart, except the drifting and boosting is very different.
Yeah, and they have, it was funny, the programmer, the designer who was there, who we talked to, really made a big deal about the boosting. Like, he was really preparing us for how the drifting and boosting is weird and different. And hot take, the drifting and boosting in CTR is bad. And they've very accurately and lovingly recreated the bad drifting and boosting in Crash Team Racing. If it were me, I would have preferred that they fix it, as opposed to the weird, janky, sometimes unresponsive, boost until or drift until you fill this bar and then hit the button to boost, but keep holding down the other button, otherwise it won't work. I would rather you just fix that, but they have very accurately recreated that bad piece of game design and put it into the remaster.
I mean, you've played the original Crash Team Racing.
Yeah.
But my impression of the drifting and boosting was that it was more of a me problem than a them problem.
It's always been janky. I mean, even in the...
There's a Crash Bandicoot cosplayer behind you. Or a regular furry, I'm not sure.
It's hard to tell. They are exuding Crash Bandicoot music. So.
Okay.
No, I mean the original one is a fun kart racer but that mechanic has always been rough.
Yeah.
And kind of unresponsive. And I'm sure there are CTR super fans who will say get good.
It's a pretty good game, the original.
Other than that, I mean, that's my.
I think that I do remember the drifting being weird.
And that complaint really only came to the forefront of my mind because of how outspoken they were about preparing us for how bad the drifting is.
Yeah.
Otherwise I probably would have just been it feels like crap.
Very pretty game, I'll say.
It was the PS4 version we were playing.
But I did grill the guy who was with us, and I was like, does the Switch version look good and run good? And he said, yes, absolutely, you can quote me on that.
Yeah, and it's developed internally by Beanox. So it's being developed, like, he made the comment that, like, all the assets that they're building with the Switch version in mind as well. So hopefully it should translate well to Switch.
Yeah. And then the last game I have to talk about is Windjammers 2.
Sure was Windjammers.
It sure was Windjammers. They made Windjammers again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. The first Windjammers is a real good game.
Was there something that felt different? I haven't played a lot of Windjammers.
I haven't either. I've played some, but not a lot.
What I've played and what I've seen of Windjammers sure looked like Windjammers 2, but admittedly I'm not an expert.
So, I mean, you can throw the disc, it'll bounce off the sides. You can throw the disc, and then the disc will fly really high in the air, and then you gotta hit it when it falls. Like it was Windjammers.
Yeah,
it sure does jam that wind.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like that's good.
Nice.
Yeah, because so far they've only done like the remastered port of the arcade one. So this allows them to kind of update the art to an extent and make their own version of it, as opposed to being so slavish to.
I just hope they take that and run with it, as opposed to just being like, here's this, but now we made new characters. Like,
I asked if there was a story mode, and the guy was not giving me anything.
He did later acknowledge a single player mode.
Okay, good.
Like, kind of roundabout.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't talk about the story mode, but then, like, at some point, you mentioned, like, not sure about a single player. He's like, oh, there's definitely a single player.
Okay, yeah.
And so, like, it was like he couldn't confirm certain elements. But
he was a little dodgy.
Yeah.
Is there a single player? Yes, you are a single player.
Yes. Yeah, you can probably play the regular game against computers, is probably what that means.
But I'm guessing there's a little something in there.
Yeah, there's probably like a tournament mode or something.
They should do what Fantasy Strike is doing in their single player mode, where there's like a weird, ridiculous roguelike thing. Wish Fantasy Strike was here. That game was great at PAX South, but anyway.
But that's all I got for my video games today.
I think that's.
I played Katana. Wait, is it
Katana Zero? Yeah.
It was cool.
It's coming out real soon.
Yeah,
April 18th.
It was like one hit and you're dead. You go through these little, boards, kill all the dudes, and get through.
And apparently consider killing children if you're John.
Yeah, listen. You're told to kill everything, and I do not discriminate. I'm an equal opportunity murderer. But yeah, it was fun. It had a really cool aesthetic. Yeah, that was about it for day one.
I think that's it.
Right? Yeah. So check out all those videos. Most of them, if not all of them, you can see right here on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this, so you don't miss any of the rest of our PAX East coverage. If you want to support the site, head over to patreon.com/NWR and join our Discord by clicking the link in the description. Thank you, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.